dimensions of reality: sound, movement, and thought. The basic responses of I and I. Metamorphosis.
Keep listening.
In life I shall be the same, in death I shall be a terror.
Iman black, me no brown, me no white. Nazi Babylon stripe, you mad?
Guiding I eternally. Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free. Guide I.
Emerging from a cocoon into a caterpillar, from a caterpillar to a butterfly. The metamorphosis is here, it's live. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis, word, sound and power, music, drumming, current affairs, everything to grow and lift up your mind. Metamorphosis.
No more youths and youths for sale. We get wise and don't decide to change their style. Bobby wrong, keep your empty promises and your crooked smile. Metamorphosis, come with your thoughts, change your way of thinking. Metamorphosis, the change begins with you.
When I started, Black men of Ethiopia, Timbuktu, Alexandria, gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth our hands unto God, and princes shall come out of Egypt.
Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free. Guide I.
Good evening, Iman Blak.
Good evening.
This is Pauline from St. Mary. Calling to big you up on your program. I am a disciple. I've been there since almost inception.
Guide I. It's the voice that sets me free.
I just you me tune into because, me always even watch some other television and stuff, and that I have to see for later. I have to really listen to you first, you know what I mean?
How ma one one ma chikumbachna Africa da fabachna kidafanya kidafarafet one ma chikibunjul kidafabunjul one yandeke sawai kidafabunjul one ma chikibunjul kidafabunjul dafnin rafet yom wentamenda ingama dafnin rafet yom wentamenda ingara dafnin rafet yom wentamenda ingara. Did you know that's a richer Africa? Did you know that's a richer Africa? Did you know? Said the whole world love it. Did you know? Said the whole world love it. Be proud of your culture. Be proud of that what you got. Be proud.
Jambo, vipi, karibuni katika kipindi cha Doc Iman Blak. Kipindi chaitwa Metamorphosis. Jifundishe, elimika na mwelimike.
And I mind to go through the same thing like I and I forbearance, but cheerings. People cry blood, Africa, cry blood. Cry blood, Africa, cry blood.
people do they think I am? Give me food from the pot bottom. Give me scrap from them table. I'm on a desperate or disabled. In this land we live with dog eat dog. I said the whole of them are going like hog. A simple thing we make we jump and back. I grab a licious like a harbor shack. Cry blood, cry blood. I've got to cry blood, cry blood. Cry blood, cry blood. I've got to cry blood for my people, yeah. Cry blood, cry blood. I've got to cry blood, got to cry blood. Cry blood, cry blood. I've got to cry blood. Hey, hey. There's just one thing I don't overstand. What make we love to kill with one black man? Me say me share me happy run and hide. I call it self-inflicted genocide. We step aside and have to weep and moan. The pressure building up inside my bones. Oh, I'm and back against the wall. I hold my head and all. Cry blood, cry blood. I got to cry blood, cry blood. I cry blood, cry blood. I got to cry blood for my people, yeah. Cry blood, cry blood. I got to cry blood, got to cry blood. Cry blood, cry blood. I got to cry blood for my people, yeah. My people, for my people, yeah. My people, for my people, yeah. Naya bingi boba shanty eye. In a dispute I says I don't know why. Be careful of the flag now. I put the lion on its back now. This plan is to divide and rule. In the end I we the people lose. So many mothers try to put things right, but no, I won't give up the fight. Cry blood, cry blood. I got to cry blood, cry blood. Cry blood, cry blood. I got to cry blood for my people, yeah. Cry blood, cry blood. I got to cry blood, got to cry blood. Cry blood, cry blood. I got to cry blood for my people, yeah. Oh yeah. Time to get up and rise. Oh yeah. Time to stand up and rise. So much for fallen soldiers. Don't let them die in vain. So much for freedom fighters. It's now that we feel your pain. So much for so-called justice. A martyr's sacrifice. Got gunned down during the protest, demanding our equal rights. Equal rights. Hey, rise. Got to get up and rise. Rise. Oh yeah. Got to stand up and rise. Build your goddamn country and reaping no rewards. We've even fought your wars, confined to the backs of the buses. We even took all of your blows. How we survived the burning crosses, only heaven knows. Heaven knows, heaven knows. It's a rise, rise. Got to get up and rise. It's a rise, rise.
Rise away from Africa with the intention to steal our culture. The good for the post by and say, humble yourself, my little one. Humble yourself, my children. Humble yourself. Oh, my brother. While you're the night.
from civilization brought us to slave in this big plantation, fussing and fighting among ourselves. Nothing to achieve this way. It's worse than hell, I say. Get up and fight for your right, oh brother. Get up and fight for your right.
Shall not enter. These are all along. We walk on a tree monster, sipping from the cup of peace. Chant down a Babylon, chant down Babylon, chant down a Babylon, chant down Babylon. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise to the whole man of creation.
Tinastilin. Eli, greetings. Metamorphosis in your ear. Styles FM, coming to you out of Portland, nestled in the hills of the Antilles, on the mountain tops. We are these islands that are mountain tops in the Antilles. And this one is essential and crucial to the archipelago that was once a part of Atlantis. Yes, which is why the people here are more ancient than even the Africans. Eli. Things to discuss, things to reason into, but before we even get into the essence, I have to speak of what is topical, particularly in the world of sport, and just give my certain views early. Because in the last edition, I had my two colleagues here. We were projecting and predicting and hoping, and some were praying. But the end result was, from my point of view, was inevitable. My numbers were high. The final score of the Reggae Girls was 4-1 in favor of the Australians. My numbers were much higher. I had 6-7. But the point was category and class. And when we say class, I mean based upon experience and training and all that goes into preparation. The Reggae Girls performed supremely. It is just that the lack of frequency in this type of opposition was a handicap, not only to the players, but also to the coaching staff. And I think the coaching staff should be greatly rewarded and credited. Because oftentimes when a team fails miserably, everybody always point on the coaches. Whenever a team succeeds, it's always because the team is playing well and the players are great and blah, blah, blah. I want to take a time out to really, give greatest amount of accolades to Hugh Menzies and the Jamaican coaching staff of the Reggae Girls. Because them money wasn't working for money. A lot of them money put in them own money to facilitate the movement of these girls. We also must give much credit and praise and whatever else you want to give to her, Sidela Mali, and realize that it's really an extension of the Rastaman vibration. Enough people in Jamaica don't like them kind of connection there. Because Rastafari and the vibration of Rastafari, they don't want to give it the credit that it is due. But the vibrations are great. And though the girls didn't win a game, they won the respect of the football community. What the girls won was global respect for their energy and their enthusiasm and the will to not die and the will to play on and on. If only the Jamaican politicians could represent Jamaica the way the reggae girls represent Jamaica, we would have a first world country. And I say, if the politicians of Jamaica would represent this island in the same way the reggae girls represent the island, Jamaica would be a first world power. And it's a reflection every time we rise from nothing with our own efforts. It's a reflection on the lack of input from the highest level of our governance and from the wealthy society that really is the engine behind sports. It requires money. And no matter how much money a government tries to put into sport, it will never be enough. But the government's role is not to put money into sport, it's to provide infrastructure. And this is where Jamaica has fallen flat on its face with no apologies. So what the reggae girls have done is again expose the frailties and the inconsistencies and the discombobulation we have at the highest level, where we can't even plan a travel. We're missing on critical areas. But through the willpower of the girls and the coaching staff, the second half of that final 45 minutes made every Jamaican feel as though it was worth being identified as a Jamaican. And I'm saying, why can't we hold the politicians to this type of effort? And when they fail, we flag them and put them out into pasture. So we have to take the example and realize that for these girls, if you look at Reggae Boys 1998 to Reggae Girls 2019, 20 years, just look at what has happened to football in Jamaica over those 20 years. And you point out what is it tangibly has been put in place to uplift the standards of the players and the community and the nation through football. Where is the evidence from 1998 to 2019? The continuity will not be there because in the first place, this was like a freak. The girls getting to the World Cup was like a freak because there was no preparation from Jamaica, nothing from the ground. The team that was built from the top down. So there is no foundation to this. It's hype. And when it's blow off and the wonder has been satisfied and digested, will the girls get any different type of sponsorship for the Schoolgirls League? Will the Schoolgirls League provide a club league for the girls to graduate into? And who's going to finance the development of coaches for these girls? It's just a whole heap of talk because that's where we are and that's what Jamaica is. A whole heap of talk. That's why the phone company makes so much money on you, because everybody on you just full up of talk. Metamorphosis. No, the part what really burned me now. The part that really burned me about this World Cup, why I almost stopped watching it, is how them angling the Blak team them. Both at the commentary level and at the refereeing level. It is atrocious. It is that VAR thing is virtually assisting racism. VAR. Is people sit down behind the machine, same way with them racist attitudes coming out of the society that they come from. And anybody who not seeing what's going on don't want to see. blatant bias in the decision making to make sure FIFA's world remains white. Yeah, man, this is more blatant than the men's World Cup. Yeah, the male World Cup, you see it, but you have to go on like say now. But the women's thing is the first I ever see the thing so obvious. I kind of stopped watching it after the Cameroon match. Listen to the commentary. Oh, the white girl, how she tripped the opponent. She tripped the opponent, but the opponent took her down. Yeah, the black woman took her down. But she tripped over. It's a whole heap of racist language used by the commentators. And the black nations are usually clumsy. And they're usually naive and physical. So when the white man, them white girl, them licked on the black girl, how did she go down so easily? So this to me is for those who are unwilling to see. Just look clearly. And look how the World Cup, the FIFA's Women World Cup, is a lily white affair. Lily white affair, and FIFA's world is run by FIFA. In FIFA's world, God have no influence, you know. It's the VAR now becomes a god in FIFA. That the VAR making decisions even before the referee and overruling the referee, that the referee is becoming an irrelevant object now shortly. VAR will run it. And the VAR is men sit behind the VAR and women with them ideology and them racist vibrations. And this is reflected in the calls. Who don't see it can't see it again. But Mabex said sport, which should be the ground where everybody have an equal start, is now being seriously disrupted. Before the referee would I get a beaten, when we see same a thief, and games with a riot and thing, where the white man gets smart, him say, oh, we're going to give you a referee where you can't see. And we'll give him a name called VAR. You can't see him all far away from the venue. Him know when define wins and losses. So it's no different. So the VAR now is the new god of football. The gamblers can have a field day. They must have a control. The VAR. Metamorphosis. Now the Cameroon team went to the verge of walking off the play field, the way that they were so incensed. And you see, the Europeans who have the leagues, and it's their personal property, they are using the behavior of the Cameroons, as usual, to talk about Africa. So if the Cameroonians behave in a way that them don't like, them say that's how Africans are. But when the white man them kick down and the white girl kick down the other girl, it's not whole of Europe. You see it? We have to learn to listen to all these people talk, you know. I know they like to paint, brush, and the entire continent is resistance. And you're supposed to behave in that European ethic. When them robbing you, you must just smile. Yes, and don't show any sort of resistance to being robbed because you're in their game. It's a wicked thing, you know. Happened to the Senegalese team and the males team. It's been happening consistently, but them have it down to a science now. Them say it's a machine deciding. Well, do I want to see some black man put behind the VAR too, and then test my theory if it's how it really work. And we saw the referees them behaving, but it's the power. And it's for them game. And we become players. How do we change the matrix? How do we become power players in the game? It's a rough deal, you know, because FIFA's world is a very serious world run by a set of men. And FIFA's world have no control by national governments. It's a world unto itself. So we can look into that world and see power structure. We see the role of race, class, gender, all of these things, looking through the world of football, especially FIFA's world. So, talk about Africa male team getting to the World Cup final. You tell me when a woman's team would ever reach. That looks like next never. Because of how FIFA run the thing. And the professionalism of football which is centered in Europe. Yeah, maybe we have to just farm own leagues, do something different. Metamorphosis. The metamorphosis continuing now into a more programmatic format. I want to maintain the reasoning, exploring the sciences and exploring identity through the lens of gender and how are we reacting to the force being demonstrated by a particular community that never existed in Jamaica in any outright way, let us say in the 1960s. As a community, never had any identity. Neither to an extent in the 1970s. There was no such identity around a community to which I am speaking about. But this community has taken on an identity from the 80s, and it has grown in strength over the last 30 years, that it is now a political force, this community. And this community now is being identified strictly by its sexual orientation. And we have to, as black people, begin to investigate what is the basis of sexuality. How does one become oriented sexually? Are these things inborn? Are these things socialized? Are these things a combination? Because things are just being pushed down our throats. And we're just a whole them without even digesting it first. So I want to leave with that. And I also want to really continue the exploration, as I said earlier, about this thing that the government has thrown out that they want to legalize and have everybody hopping all about the place. And the majority of sounds I hear based simply on the people are just simply saying, well, obeah come from Africa, that's why them don't want to deal with it. But them stop right there, so. They're not saying what it is, they're not saying what it is not. They're not saying anything more than just a cuss. And I don't have that type of energy. So rather than a cuss and a trace, it's better to explore and examine the source and the whole ideology behind these type of behaviors. So we hear now through government sources and the media that obeah, something that is on the books as a crime, should be removed. And some are saying that it ought not to be because it is evil. And you know, the argument is going forth and back, really taking us nowhere, burning a lot of energy. But if you really try to discern what could be positive out of that for black people, it's not a matter of debating whether it's come from Africa or not, and that's why it is not evil. We have to begin to examine what really is the science. What is the science that they say obeah is? What is the science? What is a science? So if we move from just a little surface cascas to the depth of what the things really mean. So for example, in the Jamaican cultural space, from the plantation days to the now, the word science has been always associated with negativity. And the same way it's attached to a term like witchcraft and evil. And so there's a whole line of terms that voodoo falls into that, along with obeah. A whole set of terms that are connected, which we don't get any explanation, nor do we investigate. We just hear say, that is that and that is not. Now we are in the world of technology and communication where you can get on a machine, push 2 buttons, and data come to you. Simple as that. So we can't be lazy now in really trying to understand what is the science that obeah supposed to represent. Because before we begin to view obeah then within that perspective, we have to look at what are the basic sciences that already are common to us and what are the ones that they teach us. And then once we get a grip of what those things are, it will be easier to begin to penetrate the sciences that are behind the terms like obeah and voodoo. So the three basic sciences is the physical, let's look along the school terms or the teacher. It is the physical, which is biology, anatomy and biology. The chemical, which is chemistry. And the physics, which is the laws and the governance that define how bodies move through space and time, etc., etc. So, considering those 3 sciences, as black people now, I was asking my engineer in the last program, if I go out into the sun and get a piece of glass, and not even going to describe it, but a piece of glass, and I stand in the sun and hold a piece of paper under the glass, and all of a sudden you see the paper blaze up. What caused the paper to blaze up? How could fire appear from nowhere? Well, him said to me, what him say? Him shake him head, but him never say nothing. Can we ask him if it's magic or is obeah that? So, none of them. What do you call that? Science. No. There's only one basic reason why I'm calling that science, you know. Because I'm thinking can explain how everything taking place. If him couldn't explain, you know. Yeah, I say, boy, what that? So, but what is the explanation they give you? Them say the piece of glass have the ability to bring the sunlight into one point and to shine at one point as almost like a laser. No, I am saying to the eye now. So, them say that is science. Because there is an explanation. But what about the things that man cannot explain? What about the things that him can't explain scientifically? How does he explain those things? Are there laws that define these activities, because all of these sciences have laws. There are laws in chemistry, there are laws in physics, there are laws in biology. So are there laws in the sciences that are beyond physics? What are these laws? You hear about a thing called karma? A lot of people have a belief in something that they call karma. And maybe I don't have it all to right, and those who know better can inform. But it's like I'm trying to say to you that whatever you do, somehow is going to go around in a circle and come back to you. No, a lot of people hold on to that as an ideology. So in other words, no, just holding the ideology alone, you make a man thump in your mouth and you don't do him back nothing, you know. Because you have this feeling that karma will take care of him. And at some point in time in his life, if it's not for him life, in his children's life, some revenge going to reach him. Is that how the IDM view this aspect of the law of karma? This idea about what you do will come back to you, and that life is a circle. One item think about that carefully, because if life is not a circle, karma can't work. If life is not a circle, tell me how can karma work? I am saying life is a cycle, and a cycle is not a circle. So somebody tell me, how can this karma work? Is it not just a way to hide from taking action? That you're leaving these actions to be taken by some force in some future time? Metamorphosis, thinking through. A lot of ones really are not conscious of the power of the scientific mind that the African is. Yes, the powerful scientific thoughts of the African. We just talk about, yeah man, African built the pyramids, but what was the science applied theoretically and practically to bringing these things into being. It's not, nobody never pray and the pyramids appear. Nobody went down on them knees and asked the Father to make the pyramids appear. When the Egyptians wanted to alter the flow of the River Nile and to create a S in the River Nile, engineering the man them turn to. Engineering is the key. And I don't seem to understand the importance of thinking scientifically and the science of engineering. See, so we have the basics that they teach us in the basic school, in the high school, secondary school. Maths, which they don't really even call a science, which is a fundamental of all the sciences. But I'm talking about physics and chemistry. And before the program is over, I should have a link up with a brethren who is a physicist, a teacher of physics. And he should be able to help us to get a better understanding as to what is this science called physics that we don't even encourage our children to go into. That our parents don't even know that it exists. Them think that physics is something you drink when you belly hurt you. And you drink salt physics. That is the extent of physics. But I must begin to look into the laws that govern the environment in which we exist. And science is a discipline that I think is based upon, number one, observation. Observation. We're not talking about looking at people's mouth, we take out the word them. We're talking about observing nature. Looking out for patterns. Looking for sequences of events. Because it's through observation of nature that man realized that there is what we can call a sunrise and that there is a thing that we call a sunset. It's through observation and seeing it happening over and over and over and realize that there's a pattern in nature. And man also observe the seasons and realize that after a certain amount of weeks and months, the climate goes through some changes, and it's through observation. Man realizes that nature changes, and that change is permanent as a constant in nature. Nothing is fixed per se. So when man begins to look into his own life as a living being, he also realizes that he will undergo changes, that he is not a fixed being. And the ultimate change is really when he expires physically, and we call that death, and we make a big hula baloo and make a bag of money out of that. But it's a part of the nature of the cycle of change. So when we begin to really stop being fearful of the word science, especially in a place like Jamaica and the Caribbean, where science is connected now to a man called the Hobby Man. You know, and the excitement starts now because the Hobby Man now is a scientist. So if we know who the scientist really is, then maybe we really know what the Hobby Man does. Because look at the basic science. Biology, chemistry, physics. Now, if we really put a little bit of time into getting to get the knowledge of and the principles of these areas of science, we would change our attitude to a lot of things. Because what scientific knowledge does is run away superstition. So when the child is born and the child reaches a certain age now and I'm asking the mother, Mommy, how did I get here? And the mother tell the child about some stock, that some delivery go on someplace. That child becomes dumb to reality because the child now lacks the scientific answer and goes now into a realm of superstition. When the mother had said something like, well, you know, it takes two to make one, and your father and myself, and just a basic explanation, the child would become more intelligent in the child's development. And the child wouldn't have any fears and doubts about the process. So we have to get away from the fear of knowledge, the fear of knowing. As a youth, the Bible story tells me that a rainbow has significance. Because when God washed the world, and him and the 8 people who him decide to save, him put the God know themselves put a rainbow in the sky as some covenant with him and his people. So as a youth, I always think rainbows were made by God. And then when the scientific information became clear that the rainbow is made by water and sunlight and certain angles, that I could turn on a hose in my yard. When I did in my yard, I like youth and turn on the hose for water the land, and I say a rainbow, I was shocked. I thought, could I be God? Metamorphosis.
Business operators, local and overseas, this announcement is for you.
Styles FM is an internationally known radio network with worldwide listeners in over 120 countries.
From our studio in Port Antonio, Jamaica, to the ears of the people in your community, our listeners can be your new customers.
Styles FM is an economical, efficient, and effective advertising option for your business.
No matter the size of your business, there's always growth potential. Styles FM provides the customer reach needed to realize that upward movement.
So procrastinate no more. Advertising is a must.
For more details on how to advertise with Styles FM, visit www.stylesfm.com or email info@stylesfm.com or call us on 876-518-2399.
Styles FM, the world listens.
Some say that Zika, dengue, and chikungunya are found in water, and that by drinking the water, we can get infected. But that's false. Zika, dengue, and chikungunya are transmitted through the bite of a mosquito that breathes in stagnant water. Protect yourself and your family.
With discounts so great, we can only have it once per year. Carib Hardware and Electrical Services, same everything electrical, will be having our annual sale starting July 1st to the 6th. We have massive discounts on all your hardware and electrical supplies, such as windows, doors, plywood, cements, wires, panel boxes, breakers, meters, sockets, and switches, plumbing and lighting fixtures, and much more at unbeatable prices of up to 70% off. Come early and save big. We at Carib Hardware are here to serve you. Visit us at 40 West Street, Port Antonio, next to Singer, or call us at 876-715-6412 or WhatsApp 876-461-7172. That's Carib Hardware and Electrical Services annual sale. Come shop with us and save big.
Guess what? Styles FM has a new business number for you to call, text, and now WhatsApp. 518-2399. To advertise your business and events, call, text, or WhatsApp us on
518-2399. 518-2399.
Don't forget, 518-2399.
The most anticipated party of the summer is back. Styles FM Fan Fusion Party Episode 6 Drunken Masquerade. Saturday, July 13, 2019 at the Bayview Waterfront Property, Oysters Bay, Port Antonio, Jamaica. Come hear Styles FM's finest DJs juggling retro hits from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Admission $700 pre-sold. $1,000 at the gate. VIP $3,500. Styles Zebo $6,000. Party starts at 7 p.m. sharp. Listen to Styles FM for ticket outlets or call 876-518-2399. Fan Fusion Party, Drunken Masquerade. Dress tropically elegant. Fan Fusion is not just a party, it's an experience.
Must be 18 years and older to enter. ID required. Drink responsibly.
Must the black man straight?
Yeah, we need to know why the strain so intense for so many centuries. What is it that is really holding African black people in almost in one spot, while other nations and races advance economically, socially, politically, and even psychologically? There is something amiss. And so I'm just suggesting that we have to really take a couple steps to the side and to the rear and to revisit some of the things that we accept as normal. Because I was saying to my brethren earlier this evening, normal has been redefined. What was once crude and impolite and outlandish has now been made normal. But we must not confuse normal with natural. Yeah, as a black people, we must keep this distinction very, very clear in our brains, because we're going to be bombarded by forces who have more power that they're going to try to overpower our thinking process. So, communication and language is vital in this time, and what I have been using as a reference point to maintain our balance is nature, the natural environment and the things that occur in nature. Because nature is being challenged, Nature is being challenged by a force that thinks that it is superior to nature, that it can actually overpower nature, and to the extent that it is striving to destroy nature. And in that destruction, black people become pawns and tools. So we have to really stop and check. We have to stop and check everything, how we say it, what we're saying, what does it really mean. So things are governed. We observe that things are governed. Things are governed by laws. But when we begin to examine from the scientific perspective, we realize that there are laws in nature and there are laws that human beings make. Natural laws and human laws have a serious conflict, because at the height of the human consciousness is an attempt to overpower nature. And when I say human consciousness, I'm not talking about black people and Africans, We're talking about the human beings that tell us that they are Homo sapiens and they're descendants of the primates. I'm thinking about those kind of people. So there is a bent, there's a drive to destroy nature, as this human being tries to assume superiority over everything. And it's reflected in the book that they give us to read, that this human being has dominion over all things. Now, ancient African people, no matter which part of the continent you go, don't ever have any debate to conquer nature, The ancient Indians and the Southeast Asian cultures and the black cultures have never engaged in a battle for any dominion over nothing. It's the human group, these human beings who come with this attitude wherein they have to conquer nature. So the whole philosophy of complementarity, which is black and cool, it gets out beaten. So we're into opposition now, oppositional philosophy, everything opposes everything. Nothing works in harmony anymore. It's pure opposition. And the human being thrives in opposition. That's why war becomes unnatural. And again, that's what my brethren earlier this evening. Look like the human being thrive more in war than in peace. And that the human being only use peace to organize himself again, to go back to war. African people, African man don't work in the total opposite. The whole objective of the African man was to live in peace, in harmony, in sync, in synchronicity, because of the observation and the knowledge that we get from observing nature. Observe the fall and the rise and the fall of the Nile River. And through observation can plan planting and build agriculture. Through science. And the science is not like a book talk and a man talk something to you and just by him talking it happen. No. And the other science now that they're trying to get us to be unconscious of, that's the science that is moved by thoughts and powers of concentration and meditation. That is the science that they don't want us to even contemplate anymore. That's what them say the Obermann science rests in the realm of psychology. Not chemistry. And enough of them know chemistry because they know how to mix certain chemicals to produce certain flavors and aromas. So they are also chemists. They are biologists, plant botanists. They can tell you which herbs to mix and so forget what effect in the body. But the highest level of manipulation now is what takes place in the psychology. And this is where the European panic now when they talk about African obia, because they don't understand black man psychology. They don't understand how that psychology could produce that high level of culture. And when I say they don't understand it, don't think they don't understand it now. Him understand, that's why I'm crush it. When I say don't understand, don't take that literal. Him fully understand the power and spend all of his life energy trying to subjugate, suppress, and oppress that scientific, creative reality that is in the meditation and the psychology of black people. So we are brutalized psychologically. And that is where the war is being fought, in the psychology. That we have surrendered much psychologically, and in that surrender we begin to become accepting of the ideology now of the conqueror. We begin to accept his ideas of beauty, his ideas of justice, all ideas that are psychological. We begin to accept it. And we begin to hold him now as to be the guardian of all of these values. So when him a thief, we will not see it. Because he holds the value of honesty. And he calls his crimes white collar. Let us wake up out of this doldrum. Let us arise in our consciousness. Let us awaken the scientific brain that is within all of I and I. The agriculturalist, the farmer is a scientist. Scientist of the earth. Understand the seasons, the seeds, the weeping and the planting is a science. It's not obia that. That is science. If we want to talk about obia, we have to begin to talk about psychology now and Sigmund Freud and psychoanalytic theory and go into those realms that they don't want to call obia. They call it psychology. Metamorphosis. Yes, the journey in the dimension of the world of science. A lot of our foreparents in the Jamaican context weren't really motivated to send their children to school to become scientists. You know, it was all about if you want to be recognized in a certain class, you must become a lawyer, a doctor, or even an Indian chief. So the status that the society respected were those academic type of disciplines, social services, and provide services. But they say the science and the manufacturing, we don't really steer our children to learn how to operate in those dimensions. So we end up usually just providing a service or become buyers and sellers. But we don't really focus on developing inventors. The inventions now we're leaving it to other groups and races, and then we go out and buy the invention. The brain power, the inventive brain, it is within all of us. But we have to begin to inspire those youths from age 3. Yeah, we can fill up the youth brain at age 3 and 4 with nursery rhyme and Bible stories and fables and things that the youth become confused. We look at how other groups do it and how they develop their mathematicians. Some are 4 or 5 years old. Yeah, specializing in sciences. We're going on as though this concept of being third world and fourth world is something that we have to ascribe to. Yeah, greetings.
Yeah.
Django.
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome to Metamorphosis. This man on the line is the man I was mentioning earlier who has some expertise to a certain degree in the field of physics. Anything goes on?
I'm not there, so clear.
Yeah, we're saying the man have a certain amount of physics knowledge about the field called physics. Acquaintance, all right. So I'm speaking earlier that within our society, our children are encouraged to learn science, but not to become scientists, because scientists is a hobby man. So what about the physics? What is the physics? What is the physics about?
Well, basically, I know the universe is full of objects that move up and down.
Yeah.
And energy as well. So physics tries to explain everything that.
So you're saying physics try to explain the movement of the objects and the bodies?
What them call matter.
Okay.
Anything where a man can touch.
Yeah.
And energy.
And energy. So how does physics view energy? Because here people talk about say you must drink an energy drink.
Well, energy is a thing when I saw you just say, even describe, but on a level and say it makes things move.
Energy is whatever makes something move.
Yeah.
All right. But we don't think
work.
Say it again.
Or make things do work.
So you mean if a man stand up over me with a whip? If a man stand up over me with a whip or a gun and force I for work, where I say is energy that?
Well, some man can utter a sound and do work.
Okay. So what are some of the things that the physicists observe? What do them observe in nature?
Well, in terms of physics now, it's basically about motion and rest.
Motion and rest?
Yes. Of any object.
Okay. So what's so important about that? What's so important about motion and rest?
Well, motion and rest involve energy changes.
Yeah.
And basically the important thing that energy exists in different forms and say.
Say it again. I didn't hear that part.
Energy exists in different forms.
Okay, you have different forms of energy.
Yeah.
So what are the basics? Basic energies that we have out there?
What is it?
Yeah, what are some of the basic energies that we have out there? Basic energy forms.
Well, you have two basic forms, which is what I'm called kinetic.
Kinetic.
Yeah, which describe anything will move.
Yeah.
Have that form of energy. And then you have potential where anything that is at rest.
Yeah.
Have that form of energy. So you have different kinds of potential energy.
Aye, that's what you mean. So you mean.
Like what I'm called gravitational, which really mean in relation to the earth, if a thing moves upward or outward,
Yeah.
then you find that its gravitational potential energy increase.
So as a layman now, and I'm gonna talk about gravity and all them kind of thing there. We can see them thing there. So how we know see them there?
Well, gravity just refer to Earth attraction to anything with up on the surface.
Yeah.
You know, say if you got the surface, let us say you have a minimal amount of gravitational potential energy.
Mm-hmm.
That Earth can't pull on you anymore.
Yeah.
But if I want to move you outward even like 1 meter,
Yeah.
then your gravitational potential energy will be higher.
Okay. Tell me something now. You see, when we look out and see all them pyramids there,
yes,
and we see them big heavy stone there, up in them ear, there, high up in the ear, all the physics man help you understand how them stone they get up there so. But I know, I have an idea.
How them make that?
How them get the stone them to go so high up in the ear? What kind of laws or is physics them use or what?
Well, it kind of science to them have right now can't explain that, you know, but my guess is the different types of energy the man would have them time there.
Yeah.
At them disposal.
Like what you suggest? What kind of energy?
Well, put it this way, mind is that kind of energy, you know.
Okay.
And mind can make things move.
Where you say, Virgin? A lot of people might frighten for hear that, no?
Yeah, with like we nowadays now we lose some kind of ability there to make things move without touch them.
But people that call that magic.
Well, that's what I want to determine them now.
Yes.
Can explain it.
So what about Obia? You think so we can call that Obia too?
Well, you can't call it anything.
Them can call it anything. Well, that's a serious thing, you know.
Can't explain it.
Because it appears as though when a man can't explain something, him call it anything. Him just call it something, because him can't explain it. But a lot of people think that because Obia come from out of the African context, it's really based upon evil and witchcraft. Or you view them kind of talk there as a scientist? Yeah, when we speak about voodoo and we speak about Obia, it's always within the context of evil and coming out of Africa. But as a scientist now, how you view Obia and science? Them having a relationship?
Well, first, I'm not a scientist now.
All right.
So, as I said before, I have a acquaintance. Subject as it is now.
See.
But based on their perspective, Africans have a way they never lose certain touch with reality. So they're aware of how the energy circulates in the universe and in man.
Yeah.
Which is different from the way the Western man understand it. So them Africans have at them fingertips the energy and how it moves, how it circulates, how it spiral, illegal, and they know the effects of it when it reaches certain regions. Because I know everything vibrates.
Yes, everything operates with the vibrations.
Yeah.
So things like levitation now. The physics, how does the man who do physics explain levitation? Is it a real ability to really raise yourself off of the ground, them kind of thing there?
hold on, the term that I use, education. I say education.
Levitation.
Dedication.
Yeah, levitate. When you levitate and a man say him can rise off of the ground.
Oh, levitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, well again, some types of energy that's on the earth, other types of energy where man have to. So it's a matter of balancing them because you're up north. It's a difficult, you know, explain things in terms of forces. Forces?
Of
force, like a push or a pull.
Okay, right. Force. Yeah.
Or attraction or repulsion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that energy field no way can make things repel or attract. So in terms of them kind of polarities, a man can blend the energy so that them can repel the earth energy a man have.
Yeah.
A man can line up himself so that they repel.
A man can what?
A man can line up himself in terms of those energies.
Okay.
So that they repel each other.
All right.
The earth and the man.
Okay. So this thing called magnetism now. These are forces that are in nature, right?
Yeah.
So you think that these forces also operate out of the individual now? Do you think individuals them have these magnetic powers?
Yes, man.
So so what is the one that counteract that? Because if something pulling you, something can also push away.
Well, it's about contraction, but it's really a trinity. Most people will it down to a polarity.
All right.
So you have the magnet have two poles. So if you have two magnets, then the poles and can interact in a where you have repulsion or attraction.
Yes.
So if you bring two poles together, two different magnets, and the poles them similar, then you're going to have repulsion.
You think that people at a people level now that maybe that same thing happening, where people who meet each other kind of in opposite to each other magnetically, and just repel each other?
Yeah, well, in more ways, man, but basically, two men are going to attract.
Two?
Two men.
Yeah, well, this is it now.
And two women likewise.
Even at the level of nature.
Yeah.
Because when we don't talk to you now, we're really going over the whole sexuality thing and gender issue now, because we're seeing that even the laws of physics show that there's a complementarity going on.
Yes.
So how we reach a level which we talk about man and woman opposite now? How we get this up?
Well, maybe you can explain that bad. You can do that right.
But as a little wrap up now, physics, chemistry, and bio.
Yeah.
Which one of those sciences you think a child should be more versed in?
So again, which one of them more?
Yeah, which one of them sciences more useful to know? Chemistry, physics, or bio?
It would be no
that means thing too.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
Chemistry, because the chemistry deal with the mineral. And the minerals are not even people too.
Yeah.
And the minerals have energy locked up in them in a certain way.
So
once you say lock up, but the energy is circulating in the minerals in a certain way. So just imagine all the minerals in one temple.
Yes.
Or structure.
Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah, so I guess what happened now? I think if people begin to even look at themselves as an energy system.
When I hear that, it's clear.
Yeah, I think it may be a good idea if we can leave with people thinking that they are really energy systems. Everybody is an energy system.
Yes, that's the basic idea.
And you must learn to manage your energy, to even develop your own energy.
Yes. Its highest potential.
To its highest potential. And ultimately, that energy can't die.
It's a godly thing, philosophy. Xavier Amlak. Ever living?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Almighty.
Yes.
So, if we begin to get conscious of our systems, energy systems, whether it's a respiratory system or the endocrine system, but everything is driven by energy because the ISA takes energy to move things, takes energy to work.
Yes, and the energy, meta one, give birth and rebirth.
Aye.
And grow. Understand?
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to grow. Then the energy causes the hormones circulate. And when the hormones circulate, you see a difference in the structure.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to help the one to even manipulate the energy more. In one benefit.
Finally, what do you say to the people who are concerned seriously about when the energy expire?
Well,
when there's no more energy and the cops can't go no further. What happened to the energy? What happened to energy right there, so?
Well, that causes a serious self-reflection.
All right. Yes, a lot of persons are preoccupied with what happens when the energy expire, you know?
And for a re-education.
Yeah. Well,
to the true nature of the universe and the one himself.
Serious thing.
And in position it.
And perhaps one could already know that the energy that you speak of cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed.
Exactly.
It always existing. So I always there. Give thanks, Ras Django.
Yes, I.
A man who have an acquaintance with physics.
Yes, I give thanks.
Yeah, man. Powers, metamorphosis. Yes, I.
Founders of
Metamorphosis, moving into Alkibu land, our story, Kimit, the way it was, and we were trying to bring it around to be. Again, when we look at our times, 2019, and the turmoil that the world faces every week, driven by the apprentice that lives in the White House in Washington, and this type of gangsterism and bullyism behavior was taking place, gunboat diplomacy and those badmanism, all sort of things being exposed. There is no need time for prayer. It's not the time for praying and fasting, you know. We have been doing that for about 300 years now. That we're getting maga. This is the time to consolidate our thought processes and to bring our thinking to the higher level. Thinking, you know, that's a process, thinking. And a lot of people are afraid of thinking because them tell you, mind you think too much, you know. Mind you mad, you know. You think too much. And I've been hearing those arguments just thrown around loosely. It's like putting a piece of rope around somebody's brain. You study too much. You can't. And all of this fear of breathing. Imagine somebody is afraid to breathe. It's them encouraging, you know. It's the same thing when you're afraid to think. It's another type of death, but it's a psychological death. It's a mental death. It takes longer and more debilitating than even the physical death. So the idea of not wanting to be mad. The greatest scientists that the world know are described as mad. The same man them who discovered the physics, laws of physics and outlined the laws of biology and chemistry. All these men were called madmen. Because in the language of the European, the madman is a genius. He's a genius. They don't have him as an outcast, you know. Them just watch him carefully because he does not think inside a square. The black people version now of this is a whole different version. We get mad as insane. So when our genius arise, we call them mad boy or mad girl. And when they begin to exercise them thinking power, we say them are genial. They might try to use them head. So, I mean, what do you mean use your head? So what the heck is the purpose of your head to do? Why do you think you have your head on your body? I think enough black people forget why they have them head, you know. We get so programmed to using our hands and our feet to labor and behave like animals that we forget to have a head power head to think. And when you go to school, they don't teach you that your head is there to think. What a drama. Because if you really look at it, you know, I have never heard anybody tell me that my head is there to be used to think. Nobody don't tell me that. I have to buck up into that myself. But you smell with your nose and you listen with your ears and you do certain things with parts of the head, but they don't tell you, so you must think. And once you begin to become quiet and think, them say you get mad, so you better stop think. And so if you imagine a set of people now for over 500 years have been conditioned not to think. So you imagine when a thinker rise up, a pure foolishness him a talk. Everybody tell you that idiot talk. Mad, the boy mad. Worse if him ever smoke herb. See it? At the ganja. Look here. When the man go into the church and drink him wine and talk about getting spirit and start talking foolishness, it's not a crime. We have to wake up ourselves, recognizing the anciency of our thinking power. And what we really need is not just scientific power or financial power by itself or military power. There's a thing called black power, you know. And a lot of people don't even like the sound of black power. A lot of people get fearful when they hear black power, especially white people, especially privileged people. They get bummy when they hear black power because they cannot really control or predict how this power will manifest itself eventually. But one of our great thinkers coming out of Guyana. And Guyana has produced some serious thinkers. Guyana has produced Dr. Ivan van Sertima. And Van Sertima broke down the door of the Columbus mythology to show us that black people have been in this region for 20,000 years before Columbus come here. 20,000 years before Columbus come here. And 15,000 years before the Jesus born. Black people, black cultures have been in this region called the Antilles. Ivan Van Sertima has given us all evidence and all proof through astronomy, through astrology, biology, every other disciplines. It cannot be refuted. So when black people in this region talk about black history, we can't just talk about black people and going to Nigeria and Ghana and it's from there we leave to come here. That is falling into the narrative created by the same white man. The narrative that we have always been here. Mansa Musa, the Malians came here thousands of years. Look here, man, we control this globe as a culture long before the caveman came out of the Caucasus Mountains. The power that we need at a basic level is black power. And Dr. Walter Rodney, out of Guyana, has gone out and set out in a pretty clear, definitive way what is black power. And I'm going to read the words of Walter Rodney. Dr. Rodney said, black power is a doctrine about black people, for black people, preached by black people. And him say, I'm putting it to my black brothers and sisters that the color of our skin is the most fundamental thing about us. I could have chosen to talk about people of the same island, or the same religion, or the same class, but instead, I have chosen skin color as essentially the most binding factor in our world. In so doing, I am not saying that is the way things ought to be. I am simply recognizing the real world. That is the way things are. Under different circumstances, it would have been nice to be colorblind, to choose my friends solely because their social interests coincided with mine. But no conscious black man or woman can allow himself such luxuries in the contemporary world. These are the words of Dr. Walter Rodney. And I'll just reiterate the important things within this little section. He said, I could have chosen to talk about people of the same island and of the same religion and the same class. But he wants to talk about what he views as the most binding force, and that is our skin color. And a lot of people have been told that skin color don't matter because it's a character and your integrity, all of these nice sounding things. But when your character and integrity is up to what them call them their standard, is it because of your skin color? It becomes a factor that binds all black people together. So no matter whether black people have money or not, no matter whether we are educated or not, it's not that the white man sees that keeps us as one body. It's our blackness, our skin tone. And until we become aware that that is essential, all people talking about skin color don't matter, you know. It is essential. It is essential. It is binding. It is the most obvious. It is the most visible. And we're not speaking about skin color because one skin color is what we call having dominion over another. We're not a dominion talk. We're talking about what is the element in our physical, psychological makeup that binds us globally. And it's not the class. It's not the religion. It's not the politics. It's race. So let us be upfront and bold, like Marcus Garvey, and say race first.
Here is a story told to the children of Africa.
We love the children of Africa. Teaching the children.
Black power. Black power.
La da da da. Oi, black eye, black hair, black skin, black queen, stand majestic with the black king.
Black power.
Today I'll Sing you a black song, you need to hear about beautiful black things.
Black power.
Most time we hear about black, we hear about black magic and black witches.
Black power.
Blacklist, black book, black market, Black Friday, you spend off your black riches. I've never seen a doctor in black, nor seen a black pill to cure no black people. But I've seen bush doctors like Tash and Molly resurrect like a real black beetle. Malcolm, Marcus, Martin. When you see Walter Rodney, ask him how you not hear about how well laughing. So when the little offspring asking, tell them they never told us that black is beautiful. They never told us black is beauty. They never told us that black is beautiful. They never told us. They never told us that black is beautiful. Behave and I go on like you never spend 500 years on a farm. The same chain you are wearing and go on is another black life in Sierra Leone. Boy, they find out Mama Earth got gold then. They mine out Mama Earth black soul then. You work hard just forget a black card. Same card where you swipe by back your black gold then. Hold on, I see no faces long, but this is not a racist song. This is a song for the children who was never told about where their race is from. They never hear it in them favorite songs. Everybody calm as if slavery's done. What I got on when the babies come? I start read about things like Dogans, Black Kemet and Kush, Black Kings, Black Senate and books. We teach about pyramids and put real significance to we physical looks. So every word when we sing black, in my world everything black. Black, white, black, right back. So don't be surprised if me say me king black. Cause they never told us that black is beautiful. They never told us black is beauty. They never told us that black is beautiful. They never told us. They never told us that black is beautiful. Oh no. Preacher is preaching, good God, the things that he preaches. I wonder who taught him to preach. Teacher is teaching, where did he get his degree? Now it is no mystery. Who taught us black history? He's up.
The whole notion of black being beautiful. It ought not to have gotten a situation where we have to be reminding ourselves that black is beautiful. But it's necessary because after 2,000 years of demonizing black, to the point where people now don't want to call themselves black anymore because they don't even know what the word means. And when the Europeans first saw the people of melanin, the people didn't call themselves black people either, they called themselves Kemetic. And Kem is what is referred to as black. K-H-E-M. And the blackness wasn't grounded in vibrations of light that gives us color. Blackness was grounded in the function of the pineal gland. So there's a physiological and anatomical reality to blackness. And the ancient scientists them now who went into the biology of man, into the anatomy of man. When we look up into the scientific works of Imhotep, the Great, and the amount of surgeries and the amount of things that the man do medically, unbelievable to those who think that it's only God could have do them thing there. So we are scientific persons. We know what it is to go into the fields and to find the right plants that have the proper chemistry in it to produce a healing. Yeah, maybe our generation ancestors couldn't call the names of these chemicals that they have now identified, but we knew about the mixture of the chemicals because we are chemists. K-H-E-M-I-S-T. Chemistry is the study of blackness. So we must not be afraid to embrace the sciences, the black sciences, biology. Every individual should become an expert at biology. That will make you know your own body. How many of you know how your brain set up? How many of you know where your kidney is? Most people know where them heart is, you know. That might be it, and then maybe they know where them kidney is. Everybody know where them belly is. But when we begin to speak about the specific organs and how the body functions, enough of we don't know it. So as a little vibration run through, we run to a doctor and give him money. And them give you a sugar pill and tell you, say, go home and say that, and then say to Hail Mary and one Our Father. And it's all over, it's done. We have to shake out that set that we put in our brain, that fear of science and the connection between science and evil. Evil is evil. And evil is practiced by anybody who have evil thoughts. So make the distinction and begin to embrace chemistry, physics, biology, astronomy. Because that's one of the greatest sciences now to bring knowledge of the universe in which we live. Astronomy. We will begin to apply and exercise laws of physics to get the knowledge about the bodies that circulate and run through the cosmos. But no, them lock with a thing called heaven and earth. So all the people them know is earth and a place called heaven, what them says in the sky, and they just done this so. We no longer can we track the movements of the galaxy. The same way we used to track the stars, that we could build a calendar. We no longer look to the heavens because of the Tower of Babel. And remember that story there? The Tower of Babel? Yeah, that story I am suggesting is the key to black people not getting interested in astronomy anymore. Yeah, them invent that story about the people them now building, using scientific knowledge to build an observatory to go up into the heavens to study the stars. And then the God come down. Where he was, I don't know, but him come down. And get vexed. Because him said the people them trying to get near to him. You imagine a story like that? Somebody write that, you know. Somebody write that God come down and see the people them building them tower. And decide if it does confuse them. No, this is the art of God. The science of confusion. And so the Lord God decided to confuse the people. Mix up them tongue. And then you talk about worship and bow down. Why? Because of the people's display of their scientific knowledge. Because when you read between the lines and the spaces, what the people were building was an observatory that we have today, that we go up and put in our telescopes and observe the heavens. And all of a sudden, no, we're not interested in heavens anymore because up there, so now it's God business. It's Bible story. Drive away the scientific knowledge out of I and I. And we're now dependent on superstition and fables and things that are not practically testable. We have to return to the foundation. Our foundation is in science, astronomy, physics, chemistry, agriculture, botany. We know these sciences. We must encourage our children, and we must resurrect those memories that are hidden in our DNA. Metamorphosis.
as human we forgot the reason why we here for, the reason why we kill for. War is all around, but truth is love in our heart. Don't turn your back to those who running for their life. Turn out to be that we as human we forgot the history we came from and who we put the blame on. War is all around, but truth is love in our heart. It was a dark night. There was no moonlight. Calling Jaja, dreadlocks Rasta. Right across the border on the same land. Corrupted government killing their own citizens. How come it's so easy to put the finger on the trigger? How come all the youths are victim for such evil? Right across the border on the far island, walking through the desert, African children running from suppression, ignorant nation. How come we're so blind to the situation? It was a dark night. There was no moonlight. They took him faster. Vicious gangsters.
DJ Cass, let it come keep on. I'm the king of fire. What are them? Blaze up. You don't hear it. DJ Cass.
Africa, I'm a place. I don't need no place in Spain.
Watch out. Sure.
Warning them for the longest time, and still them never pay me no mind. And even though I try to help and humble, they still wanna see I fall and stumble. But I will never, ever give up your faith, cause I know Rastafari is a saying dead. Oh wait, I and I will pass through great tribulation. Never get caught in Babylon disillusion. Let me tell them this. Tell Mama Africa I'm coming. Tell Ethiopia I'm coming. Tell them say the fire will be burning. Don't try to escape all when them running. Tell Mama Africa I'm coming. Tell Ethiopia I'm coming. I feel bring the joy and the falling. But all the ones them we're calling now I got you. Music get them ready Rasta order. Fireman a gun and turn up the lava. Kingston, Cape Town to Addis Ababa. Build up every bridges, broke down every border. Free up West Bank, go and go ask Gaza. Israel and Jerusalem to hold the order. Say them a go hard, but we a go harder.
Yeah, we'll cry, the cry of the ancient Rastaman from its inception of this movement was to reclaim the homeland, reclamation. And in the reclamation, it was happening, it was projected that it should manifest on the psychological level. It should manifest at the physical level as well. Reclamation. So, from the 30s, Rastaman encouraging ones and ones to reclaim Africa. Because, of course, the violent uprootedness of I have manifested a sort of post-traumatic syndrome of stress and mental health diseases. All these things are a manifestation of the turmoil. Now, reparations and repatriation were two of the foundation pillars of Rastafari. Reparations, repatriation. Reparations is very, very topical today now. And topical to the point where it is now being debated in the United States Congress. And the issue of how the payment should be worked out or whether it is justified. And we know all the arguments that surround the concept of reparation. We also have evidence of countries who are still receiving it. For example, the Jews from the Germans. and it continues to support the Jewish economy. But we're having problems when the black nations, and you can't say it no other way, when black nations make a request for reparations. And it's a request because even if you try to transform that request into a demand, there's nothing that is owed that must be given, because we are trying to appeal to something that the white people don't have, which is conscience. And they have no conscience when it relates to black people, because black people lack power. So powerless people can't make no demand on people who have power. You're going to end up a beg them. And you're not only begging them for reparations, we're begging them to apologize. So I don't know what the heck kind of frivolous talk that. You're begging them to apologize. We're not tired of apologies. Man, I'm thumping him out and apologize. I'm thumping him out next week again. So the reparation thing, it's a water down. To me, it's an essential part of the movement, but it cannot be the essence of black people's liberation. Because black people's liberation cannot be connected essentially to white people giving us things. That is always part of the handicap that leads to our enslavement. So there are some who think that the reparations, we shall just allow them and go on and don't just leave them, let them go on about them business. And let us galvanize our own energies to repair the damages that we have in our own psychology. So the reparation that should be focused on is the psychological reparation. How do we repair our psychology? How do we heal the damage that has been inflicted upon the eye, upon themselves, upon the being and the consciousness of black people? So reparations is one thing. The other aspect now of the struggle that Rastaman established was repatriation. And Rastaman never established that per se, because the reparations movement and the repatriation movement in particular was a movement in the United States long time, with the black man in America get the consciousness that they have to return to the continent, because they couldn't find themselves surviving in the place where everybody think is a paradise. So repatriation been going on before Marcus Garvey got to America, primarily in places like Liberia. It is now more prevalent in Nigeria and Ghana. But African countries now being, let us say, informed by the children of the diaspora, responding. Namibia is a country that has perhaps one of the earliest countries to recognize that this visa thing is a handicap to prevent people from really traveling. And so Namibia is one of the early countries that have removed all the visa restrictions for people to be able to come into Namibia as they feel. Now, the Ghanaians have followed suit. And next year is being declared the year of the return to Africa, 2019. A time to reconnect with roots and to that bridge building thing that we've been talking about from the 30s. But there is an upside and a downside to everything, you know. And I'm after air out what I see as the things that are between the lines. That sometimes we get caught up in a celebration. And when we celebrate and don't realize that we never read the fine print. So St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they have been way ahead of us in this process of trying to get visas free and allow people to move from St. Vincent into the African continent. What I am seeing as a very cynical timing, the same like what them decide to decriminalize ganja, and enough people celebrate. And a couple years, very briefly after, we realized that was a scam. It's a big cloud of smoke them blow in front of our face, because what they're really doing is controlling the economics of the trade that black man can't get him hands on. So this other thing here now is flying the gate. So all who repatriate now, can pack up and leave. And I said to the item, let us be wise in our celebrations. Because packing up and leaving, it sounds like when the people them said Jesus was going to come and people start pack up because they're going to leave the earth. We have to still hold our feet on the ground and realize that where we live here in Jamaica is still a paradise in the Antilles. As much as them make life difficult for the 96% black people here and make crime become almost like a norm here, don't get disturbed to the point where we get into this exodus to allow other nations and races to come and capture this island. Because this island is a very important island politically, culturally, strategically. It is an important part of Atlantis. So we must recognize the chance and opportunity to easily move into the continent and out. But we must be careful that we don't abandon this base here. This base. When people talk about them not swapping an island for a continent, there's no swap. We're talking about redemption, where Iron is. And we're talking about reparations for those who recognize that must be pursued. And we're talking about repatriation for those who can afford it physically, financially, and for all who can culturally and psychologically make that move into the brain. So repatriation begins psychologically first. You have to psychologically repatriate yourself out of this Roman thought process. So you have to repatriate yourself out of the Christian scripture, Christendom. You have to free yourself from European images and ideals and begin to come into the consciousness of your own blackness. And it's real. And it's the metamorphosis.
Give thanks, Lord, and fair represent Love Star Music is blessed.
How many charities do they need to have for Africa when Africa has all she needs?
Down in
Now Blizzard is man that walking on the coast of the garden and see the skies fall. Now stand the ways of sinners.
Oh, religion.
Boys the light to laugh land. And the laugh land that meditate day and night. I do remember that God they are not so. How man like soldier alongside Billy Mystic say.
Yeah.
Step up Billy Mystic.
Tell about religion. If you don't know, Lord, the things that I know. Babylon taking a division. I know, and the Bible says so. You can't come tell about religion. If you don't know, Lord, the things that I know. Babylon taking a division. I know, see it was you. Just like scribes and the Pharisees, you never knew. No. When Christ come, that's the way he would be. Couldn't take Natty Jelly riding in a Palm Sunday. You couldn't take a Natty Jelly riding in a Palm Sunday. And man, you want to come tell about religion, and you don't know all the things that I know. Babylon taking a division. So listen, Storgy, I'll make him tell you when no.
Giddy up, me say Rasta man a come. Giddy up, me say Rasta man a come. Me say watch a wicked man, them a get up and run. Cause the say a the father Rasta man, them a the son. Cause a long time I call you, but you just feel fake up. Coulda blind, coulda deaf, you coulda cripple or dumb. You better fling down your stick and then you start boogie down. Mr. Billy Mystic, who a one not just son.
But it was you, just like scribes and Pharisees. Never knew, no, never knew. Crucified him, that's the way it would be. Never know where I go up on that day Good Friday.
You want to hear this? You want to hear this? You want to hear this? This is the section that we deconstruct the allegories and the myths and the fables and the nursery rhymes and the things that we get as truth before we can even spell our own names. We are overwhelmed with cliches and phrases and stories. Some of them fables, some of them myths. But the young African brain and the plantation cannot make the distinction. Neither can their parents. As what's the difference between a myth and a fable. It takes me a long time to reach our secondary school and beyond to be able to understand the difference between a myth and a fable. And then you hear about an allegory. And you have to work out what the heck is an allegory. And then you begin to hear all of these words out of the language, the metaphors and the similes and the personifications. Some of the words, you can't even spell them away them long. But that is what them bombard us with. And that's what we have to use to get out of the mist. We have to almost master the language. Yeah, we have to master the language in order to come out of it. So it's like within the field of religion, we have so many things that we are not told to think about nor question because those things are beyond the power of our brain. It requires higher brain to work out those things. Well, within the concept of identity and the community that I spoke of when the program just started, this community now is called the LGBTQ community. The lesbians, the bisexuals, the gays, the transvestites, and the queers. Now, these groups of people never organize and they never exist in the Nile Valley culture. They never exist in cultures that are black. They never exist in cultures that are Oriental and Asian. These communities never existed. You may have individuals who are trying to practice a different type of orientation sexually, but there is no community that felt so empowered that they also declared that the rainbow. Imagine it, the rainbow, which is a manifestation of nature. They are using it as their symbol, and what they're doing is not natural. But because of them political and economic power, we have to be engaged, with this community. And I am here looking at an article. An article that speaks about a church where the members, the headline says, church members walk out as gay pastor says his husband is pregnant. Now, this is not one of them programs that which part we essentially like a tabloid, and we find things that are sensational. This is not that. No, when I speak about identity and sexuality as black people, we have to know the framework that we're going to use as a reference. And we are in this time now, we are being bombarded with some identities that are not natural, and are being called normal. And these identities feel as though they can be in every place in society and they are dominant. But the place that they have surfaced that is most curious is in the church. Because here we have now a church with two men. Two men. The article goes on to say, it came as a shock, and it must be shocking, when news came out that the pastor of Atlanta's Little Rock Missionary Church of God was gay. Now, the gay concept falls into the LGBTQ community. The G is for gay. And I tell you them, not even in the Hebrew Old Testament was there any identity called gay. And gay never exists in Africa, and gay not in China, and gay not the rich by black people. The gay is a recent invention by white people to try to normalize the behavior that is unnatural. Because sexuality should not be something that is taught. Sexuality is natural. Attraction and repulsion, as my brother was saying within physics, is natural. And the natural attraction in nature is between the female and the male. So just like if you get two magnets and you turn the poles them that don't connect and you push them together, them can't stay together. They actually are repelling each other away. Try it. And you flip them around, them will suck on together and lock up. So there's a way to stay together, and there's a way that nature rejects. And I am saying nature rejects this LGBTQ community concept. It doesn't manifest anywhere except amongst these human beings who claim that they have a right. Now they are taking this right now into the church that they told us is sanctified. And that this is the church of God, and God made man in his own image, and that God made a woman with man, and all of this. All of a sudden now, all of these things now are being reversed by this community. Because them are claim, say the same God give them the right to do with one another what them feel like. Now, the next stage now, is the bestialist. The bestialist is the people who have sex with beasts, goat and cow and dog. They are going to work very shortly to normalize these type of behaviors. They're going to be normal after a while. And then when they normalize it, then we enforce it on you, because is who have the power, who have the economic and the social power that is defining people's sexuality now. And black people, we have to violently, if necessary, reject this community imposing their sexual orientation and trying to convince our children that they were born like that and that it is natural. It is unnatural. It is unethical. It is immoral. It is all these things outside of nature. There's always going to be resistance on this island. Always. Rastaman, black man, conscious women. And the alternative that I looking at now is to repeal the law of bigamy. Because if these groups try to repeal the law of homosexuality and buggery, I want to man them over what I say, this community is trying, as they have done in Trinidad, to remove from the books the law against buggery. Buggery is a men behavior, the heinous culture. And they are working hard to remove that off of the laws, that them can come in here with them buggery. Well, it's also on the books is a law that is called bigamy. And bigamy is when two women or more than two women try to colonize one man and make that one man them king. The book said that no legal. Yet that framework brings children and brings a family and brings a unity and brings a community. But they're not inspiring I to move in that direction. They might tell us it's better two men hook up together and then adopt a child. And that child will be so disturbed that that child will have more disturbed relationships. And then when two women have a child, through adoption again, that child have two mommy. And that next child have two daddy. And when they go to school and their friends ask them about them daddy, them show them the two man them. And the one of them is a mommy. We are breeding confusion. And we're rejecting that because we can see it coming. This God of confusion is not what we need in this time. Metamorphosis.
Sitting in your church on Sunday, thinking who you're gonna screw Monday, who you're gonna thief, who you're gonna rob. Take it as me till you say you can't fool God. No, every day you ball out, Jaja. Call yourself a dreadlocks Rasta. Terrorize the people on your lane, cause I saw you get wicked when you lick the code. By his deeds shall a man be known. Ask you for a piece of bread, you give him stone. By his deeds shall a man be known. Natty up your head and worship Babylon throne. By his deeds shall a man be known. Straighten up your liberty and don't bow down. By his deeds shall a man be known.
So this pastor now, in Atlanta, Little Rock Missionary Church of God. So when the news broke now, the community come out, guns blazing, and started licking with some scripture, and then rebuked the pastor. But that wasn't enough to make the members of the church walk out. But the pastor decided to take it to another level. He announced to the congregation that his sweetheart is pregnant. That didn't sound like a tabloid, all right? No. Pastor William Terry, Longstroke II, Longstroke, told the church members that his partner, Mistress Dante Terry, with whom they have been married for 1 month, was 3 months pregnant. And the pastor termed their situation a blessing. Well, of course, the announcement shocked the church. And manna faint unconsciously and had to be taken to the hospital for immediate attention. And besides the fainting, many members of the church who couldn't take the idea of their pastor being gay and pregnant simply decided to walk out. No. Talk about gender and freedom. So what are we looking at now? Him tell you, say you have a right because you born to be attracted to your same sex. And then not only are you attracted, you have the ability to get married, and you call that a relationship. And I don't know what these two men do, but them say one man belly have a bulge. Look here. Make we focus on nature and not what is normal. Because the world has been reorganizing itself and making unnatural things normal. Just look around the world. And they're using the media and all the powers to impose upon us this concept of what the new normal is. So for example, at the political level, Trump has brought in a new normal. You don't have press conferences anymore, you tweet. And tweeting is now normal. 10 years ago, nobody knew that, but they have normalized tweet. And so the gay community, the lesbian, the bisexuals, they collectively are trying to normalize their deviant behavior, imposing upon us the idea that it is inborn. From we did the Nile Valley and before, none of we never born as black people with this thing in a way. We never born attracted to no other male, not naturally. But if you come into an environment where the stimulus and the word sound and the everything between in the first 1,000 days. Give you that vibration. You can be groomed. You can be groomed into this type of behavior. And we see this behavior in the military. We see it where groups of the same gender gather, whether voluntarily or involuntarily. We need to open our pineal eye and observe the changes that are being forced upon us and consciously reject the ones that bring our race to a full stop. There's 7 billion people in the earth, and white man say his population is declining racially. So the only way to counteract that decline is to reduce the black population. Stay awake.
Read all about it. It's Fan Fusion tickets. Yes, pre-sold Fan Fusion tickets are now available at Styles FM Studio, 4 Barmouth Avenue, Port Antonio, White Case Pharmacy, West Street, Graham's Texaco, Port Antonio, Taj Pharmacy, West Street, La Best Sports Bar, Port Antonio, Trina's Ice Cream Shop, Hector's River. All Styles FM DJs have tickets as well. Morant Bay, Texaco. Also Universal Electrical and Plumbing Supplies, Wharf Road, Morant Bay, St. Thomas. For more information, call 518-2399. Get your tickets now.
Do you have or are you seeking a place to rent, seeking employment or have a job vacancy? Are you selling a car or having a garage sale? Then come see us. Let Styles do the advertising for you and you'll be on your way in no time. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Advertising Style. Advertise with Styles.
For complete auto repairs and services, come to Akon Auto Technology, located at 33 Bumble Crescent, Port Antonio, Jamaica. We offer specialist services in wheel alignment and wheel balancing, brake drum and disc rotary servicing, state-of-the-art ultrasonic cleaning and testing of your fuel injectors. We also stock an assorted range of auto service parts, tires, and motorcraft batteries. If we don't have it, we will source it for you. Call us at 876-715-5205 or email AkonAutoTech16@gmail.com. Akon Auto Technology, beyond the typical auto mechanic shop.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
Business operators, local and overseas. This announcement is for you.
Styles FM is an internationally known radio network with worldwide listeners in over 120 countries.
From our studio in Port Antonio, Jamaica, to the ears of the people in your community, our listeners can be your new customers.
Styles FM is an economical, efficient, and effective advertising option for your business.
No matter the size of your business, there's always growth potential. Styles FM provides the customer reach needed to realize that upward movement.
So procrastinate no more. Advertising is a must.
For more details on how to advertise with Styles FM, visit www.stylesfm.com or email info@stylesfm.com or call us on 876-518-2399.
Styles FM, the world listens.
For the best quality in sound reinforcement and backlining, Native Audio. We have professional engineers with over 20 years of experience. So call us and we'll take care of your parties, wedding receptions, barbecues, conferences, and small stage shows. Crystal clear sound, Native Audio. Our prices are the best. Call us at 871-5212. That's 871-5212. Native Audio. We make your events audible, 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 audible.
Stop till the battle is won and we get justice. Cause if you lose your stand, anyone will try to push you over, over and over. Lift up your head and hold it up high. We know that we'll win the prize. Lift up your head.
So they tell us, what does it? They don't tell us. They put it out as a statement. and a question at the same time. What does it profit a man? See, most people can say this. Most people can end the statement by themselves, the way it has been inscribed in our brain. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and to suffer the loss of his own soul? And then one DJ said, like the farmer said to the potato, I plant you now and I dig you later. A tune called The Whip. But the first part of the reasoning, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and suffer the loss of his own soul? You know, once and once, meaning black people, we have to reflect on this thing. I don't apply to any other racial group. This cliche applies to no other racial group, nor does any other group try to put this into practice. Because all the other groups are trying their utmost best to conquer the earth. Conquer meaning be in a position where the benefits of the earth come to them. So we are told now that the earth is not the essential thing. And prosperity and good life and good health is not the essential thing. The essential thing is the soul. This thing now that none of us can really touch, that none of us can see, that none of us can hear, none of us can taste, none of us can experience with any of our 5 physical senses, this thing called soul. Yet, our entire being is focused on saving it, whatever it is. And in the energy we exercise to save it, we have abandoned the reality, which is the earth. And more critically now, the earth that has resources in it. Because you have lands that are barren, and you have lands that are resourceful. The most resourceful continent is Kemet, is the Black continent. And one of the most resourceful islands is Jamaica. And resource goes beyond physical, and resource goes into the nature and the quality of the people. So, Iman want to be told why and what is this whole thing that I must be focused on saving, and why should I not be saving the cockpit country? Why should I not be putting more effort to save our own lands here? And why are we putting more effort in saving our soul and giving away the land to foreigners? That when there is a drought, the foreigners have water. And those who are indigenous and native experience drought on the same island. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world? The profit is great because of the benefits goes to the children of that person. That is where the benefit is for those who put value on the earth. Again, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world? If we gain the world, then we'll have land. We will no longer be squatters. We'll be able access to the minerals that can produce the things that to make our lives more comfortable. But we rather live in the drudgery and the misery, trying to save soul. Pieces of confusion, because the Bible says breath blew into man and man became a soul. It's a story. Somebody read what man write this or no, And the person who write it never see when a breath blowing on a dirt man, All imagination. Imagination.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet. Make you wanna move your dancing feet. Work to the
make you wanna move. Your dancing feet, yeah. But to the rescue, here I am. Want you to know, want you to know just where I stand. When the morning gathers the rainbow, yeah, yeah. Want you to know I'm a rainbow. Go to the rescue.
Greetings to the people in Duckensfield. Hail up on it. You're there listening, and I'm here speaking. What a combination. Yeah, I want to make a quick reference now to the world around us. What is happening in the world today. And it's amazing. I am here on a weekly basis, and within every week, the globe undergoes some political shake-up, inspired primarily by the juvenile narcissist gangster-style leadership that is now coming out of the White House. There was a time in the early, I think maybe in the 40s, when America had a policy called gunboat diplomacy. And gunboat diplomacy was a type of diplomacy wherein you're involved in negotiations, but it's always at the barrel, with the barrel of a gun facing you. So there was a time, when America was said to have graduated out of that type of diplomacy and was now engaged in international diplomacy, where they would have reasonings and group discussions and form consensus and all of these nice political terms. Obama was excellent at this level of operation because he was well schooled in the Queen's language and he was well trained in the legal fraternity and had all the language and the words to be charming and to do all these things. Like how Mike and Manny, they have those words too. The man, they have the lyrics. And so the world at the time under Obama relaxed. Black people relaxed. So relaxed to the point that one white senator today claims that white people in America don't owe black people any reparations because Obama was once president. We must suggest to you that black people can't call for no reparations because, see it? Black man was once a president of America. So they have gone past it. So we must get on with it too. Well, when they removed Obama from office, the movement that started the change to return to the old ways was called a Bertha movement. Bertha. And at the head of that movement was a character called Donald Trump. And Donald Trump came up with the argument that Obama was not an American. He was not born in America and started a whole set of things and forced Obama to become like a little boy and produce his birth certificate. Yeah, so now that the Bertha movement has become victorious and Obama is no longer in the White House. The White House has been taken over now by white national Ku Klux Klan forces. Forces that hated Obama to the guts. Forces that come with the agenda to reverse everything that Obama tried to put in place. In other words, this is the belly of America talking. This is the part of America that black people never want to hear about anymore because the impression was that they had matured and they had grown past that. Well, everybody now has been rudely awakened. Because what is in the White House now is neither a Democrat nor a Republican. What is in the White House now is basically a gangster. And so the diplomacy that America used to enjoy, particularly under Obama, that is now irrelevant. What has taken over the place of that polite, diplomatic type of discourse is what we now call gunboat diplomacy. And gunboat diplomacy is what Donald Trump knows. He has no negotiation skills outside of bullyism. And it's very apparent now that between North Korea and Iran, we see the bullyism trying to work. And we see the shortcomings of being the bully. Because look at it. A year and a half ago, or a year ago, the whole world think that North Korea was on the verge of being wiped off the planet. North Korea is still here. North Korea has actually grown stronger in its own convictions. And the guns and the bombs that Trump sent to Southeast Asia, now they're going somewhere else. These guns and bombs now are heading for the Straits of Hormuz because the new and upfront enemy is Iran. And so the world, next week we might hear the guns are now and the boats are heading for Venezuela. Because there's obviously an agenda. And I'm saying to the people of the world, black people of the world, don't get caught up in this sideshow. We have to focus on our own blackness and our own complementarity. Or we're going to bring our race together by bringing females and males to be coordinated in a way where we're not struggling for superiority and supremacy. We burn those constructions and we begin to talk about building unity at the level of gender. All other unity is in vain unless we organize at the level of gender. So people talking about political unity and setting up political parties and economic unity, all of that I'm saying to the item is vain talking, fleeting illusions until we begin to bring the unity of the female and the male into a harmony that we no longer see each other as an enemy. We no longer see each other as a competition, but we begin to see each other as a vital part of a team where the left brain can't function without the right brain and vice versa. So that is a change we have to make as it relates to the world and the economic situations, because America has decided to take on Iran, China, North Korea, Venezuela, Syria, and anybody else who the White House feel is not bowing down to their demands. Black people, we have to stand up now as a group, as a race, and defend a home. And the home cannot be the US of A. We have to defend the continent as a homeland. And a place like Jamaica, we have to defend Jamaica as a place where the population is 97% black people. Metamorphosis. Hail up Rastris, hail up all the New York people, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and about other states from California straight across, cutting through Atlanta and Ohio and all them other places there, Florida. Hail up Fitzroy and the AC people. Yeah, Metamorphosis live.
As a man, so shall leave it.
Well, locally, the journey of Edward Seaga has come to a close. All rituals, all performances, all things related to the 5th Prime Minister of the country come to a close. And so the nation is expecting to return to a normality. But now we hear cries about Seaga to be a national hero. And we hear that there should be a day called Seaga Day. And we hear all kind of things. Time will tell what the governing forces decide. There are those who say Bob Marley should be a national hero. Me is one who said no, Bob Marley is already an international hero. Let us not reduce him to our politics here in Jamaica. Let us leave the man free internationally and globally. And then at our political level now, one of the tribes involved in a internal struggle for leadership. Because leadership is in serious demand in all aspects of life. And leadership at the political level is what the country usually looks to for guidance. Here now we have the incumbent and veteran and aged Peter Phillips against another Peter who's bunting. And both of these Peters now are engaged in a struggle to define who will be the leader of this party that once told the country that the country was Orange country. This party once told the nation that it's a PNP country. And I'm saying that I'm realizing that this PNP as an organization is facing even dissolution. Because this struggle may bring some fruitfulness in the long term. But in the immediate term, them turning over the country to the green. And the green, observing the disarray on the horizon, will take advantage. Say no more.
Revolution. Then take away with privacy. This social media is more. I'm telling you. More than a means to distract and confuse. You could have come from there, could have come from far. White like a snow, could have black like tar. No matter if you're righteous or you're bad like Escobar. I tell you, they have control over you. Boy, don't listen to the media, them. Don't take sides, don't take bribes, just be wiser men. Them and those that come around and make promises. Promises that turn out to lies. This is a conscious revolution. Conscious revolution. They take away with privacy. They take it away. This social media is more. I'm telling you. More than a means to distract and confuse. This is a conscious revolution. Revolution. They take away with privacy. Media is more than a means to distract and confuse. All the time in my talk, there's no care for high and high. People are wise up and see right through their lies. People are fed up, enough is enough. The world is in need of change. Free up the innocent ones who they have been at Islam. Calling all the troops who defend human rights and honor. Tired up.
No, I dare
free. Out of all captivity, like a running stream he is to me. Whatever he asks, well, I will do. Can make I happy and I'm blue. I will never fly up in Jaffa. I will always hold my pace. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I dare not be ungrateful to Jah. Oh, I shall not be ungrateful to Jah. No, 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 no. I dare not be ungrateful to Jah.
Alright, I give thanks for life in our existence. Where I am, the most I is a blessing. Yes, I say stand firm and let yourself be accounted of. Yeah, so I give thanks and learn. Alright, yo, I won't lose my way. No, Jah is mighty direction. Well, every single day. Love is my meditation. I tell you, say that this Babylon them can't fathom. I can't get the youth them feeble out like Saddam. So this our not a fire earth. Me say a positive vibes they want to bring down. Step away from your Willie Lynn syndrome. I Rastafari, look, you always welcome. I tell you, say you give yourself and come. I fireman, I burn them red. I tell you, I won't lose my way. No, Jah is mighty direction. Well, every single day.
I stand firm on my own 2 feet, and I won't ever accept defeat. My success is destined to come. 'Cause my heart is willing and my spirit is strong. You know, sister, that I column this, foundation this, I real rock this, and them can't touch this. Me say I column this, foundation this, I real rock this, no them can't budge this. It was a fool who built up on sand and not stone. Give thanks every day for the strength in my bones. Say I column this, foundation this, real rock, rock, rock. I am wiser because I've been foolish, but I still made it through it. Now I'm better, firm and more rooted. He who thinks better, I go do it. Trusting on the works of the Father and just work like a harder you will. Reap the fruits of what you do. Beg you stay true to the other, stay true to yourself. Me want to hear me sister and me
Yeah,
brother
those
say,
Metamorphosis on the way out of another edition. Healing up my engineer Cassidy, keeping the thing moving. Healing up all the listeners in the various lands and in the ocean and on the seas and in the lands and the mountains and in the valleys. Portland and St. Thomas and St. Mary and St. Elizabeth and Clarendon and all the various parishes all the way down to Westmoreland and around the corner Hanover, listening to Styles FM, listening to Metamorphosis. Always giving thanks for the listenership. Listen, thanks for those who link up to the WhatsApp, making their voices heard and allowing me to recognize that others are thinking and people are beginning to exercise that almighty power, that divine capacity of thought. Egyptians had a god named Thoth, Thoth, the god of writing. So we respected the gods of our abilities. So we have the gods of thinking. So thinking is a power, you know. Let nobody tell you say you think too much. It's afraid them I get afraid. They have secrets hiding and they think that you're going to recognize it through your thoughts. So we're going through recognizing that the power lies within and within the concept of the Trinity and identity Black people must consistently work to organize and to reject things that are alien. So the Trinity within the personality of the African black man, woman, foundation rests upon your race, rests upon your gender, and rests upon your name. That is the essence of identity. So if you are disturbed at the gender level, your personality will be seriously disturbed. Because your personality now is all about the me, the I, and the self. And those are the components that we need to learn to have some mastery over, get them coordinated. Spirit, soul, and mind, let us put those aside. And let's work to develop the I. Let's get conscious of the self and the powers of the me and the Trinity that is within. Yeah, so that's how it go. And another edition is on the horizon, and we hope that the consciousness is also rising within the I and the I. The gender level, critical to our identity. Your name and your race, foundation. Let's get it right.
Said living in a Babylon ain't easy, no way. Temptation on my right and evil on my left. I'll stand up and fight. Oh yeah now, Sadama in a positive way. Sadama in a positive way. I've got to pray to Jah to have some mercy, to keep me safe and guide me to travel on my way.
I also want to heal up all the ones in the northern part of the United States, Canada. Heal up Kasha Blak, heal up Yandri C, and heal up Juicy Mox. Yeah, and you want a copy of Black Trinity in Toronto, just check Kasha Blak. Yeah man, just link him on the Facebook. Kasha Blak. That is the Toronto agent. You want to have a copy of Black Tri-Identity, Me, I, and the Self. Cultural Liberation Psychology. It's in Toronto. It's in New York. It's in Atlanta. And it's at Size FM, 4 Bunbrook Avenue. $10 US, 10 Canadian, $2,500 J. Yeah, just support the cause. And transform yourself. Make the connection between the self and the I and the me. It can't be just me say to myself and then it sounds like two people and we don't know how they're related. Yeah? So reparations within the psychology of black man. Peace, prosperity, and power. Black out.